Hi guys, I'm Charlie, your Charlie Book Fanatic. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do a top 5 Wednesday, and this is going to be the most predictable video ever because I'm going to recommend my favourite science fiction and fantasy books. Top 5 Wednesday is hosted by Sam over on Thoughts and Homes. I will link her channel as well as the Goodreads group for topics down below. If you've never seen a video of mine before, this video won't be as obvious, but if you have been watching my channel for a while, you will notice that I talk about these books quite a lot because my first recommendation is going to be Illuminated by Amie, Kaufman and Kristoff. And if you have been watching BookTube for a while, you probably know all about this book. It's about two characters who have to evacuate their planet and go onto these spaceships, but they are being followed by people who invaded their planet, and they have to get out as soon as possible before their ships get destroyed and the people who have evacuated die as well. So that's what this book is about. It's the first book in the Illuminae Files trilogy. The second book, Gemini, is also out, but it follows two different characters, and it isn't my favorite book ever. But this is the first book in the series, and if you have not read it yet, I am, again, going to push you to definitely read it, even if you don't like science fiction as much, because I wasn't a huge science fiction reader and I really got into it after reading Illuminae, especially because it has a really strange format made out of documents and emails, but I discovered that I really like this strange format. I go through these books so quickly, even though it's like 600 pages. And the second book I'm going to be talking about is also science fiction. It's also a very obvious one. That's The Long Way to a Small Hungry Planet by Becky. This is the first book in the Wayfarers series. The first book in the series and the second book in the series is actually a companion novel, which I didn't like as much, but I would definitely recommend this as a standalone. You can completely read it as a standalone. And it is so good. Like, the series follows these characters that are on this spaceship together, and it kind of follows their dynamics mostly. You really get to know all these characters individually and their relationships. They're all from different species. There are humans among them as well, and it's so cool to see this. Also, there is sexual diversity. There are different sexual orientations, different gender identities. It is so cool, super diverse, and I would really recommend it because it has some great character relationships and a lot of diversity in it. The third book I'm going to recommend is also science fiction. That is Good Morning Midnight by Lily Dalton. This is Lily Dalton's debut novel, and it is a good one. I read this one not that long ago, and it follows two characters. One of them is on a spaceship in space, and the other one is within the Arctic Circle, I think on the North Pole, and he is there with this little girl. Everyone has kind of evacuated, they all left the North Pole, and this man stayed behind. There is also this little girl who has been left behind one way or another, and this man takes the job upon him to take care of this girl. And throughout the book you get to see this connection between the female main character and the male main character in this book. Why they are even in this book, because they never really get to meet each other. They are in completely different situations. Definitely a connection between these two main characters, and it's probably very obvious to other people, but it took me a damn long time to figure out their connection and this whole plot. Not a lot happens, but I have to say I especially liked the male main characters, even though he was on the North Pole with a little girl and not a lot happened, but I just like to read about him and his backstory. The last two books I want to talk about are both fantasy novels. The first one is Uprooted by Naomi Novik. This is a standalone YA fantasy, and it is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. I would also say / Rapunzel retelling. But this magician who takes a girl from a village every 10 years, and we start the story upon the day where one of the girls is going to be taken by this magician. Our main character gets taken, and she gets taken to this tower where she discovers she is capable of using magic, as well as this magician who is called the Dragon. And there is also this magical evil wood that tries to destroy everyone and basically corrupts people, and I think this is one of the best villains I've read in a long while. The Woods, it's literally called The Woods, is alive, but it's not human. It's nature, and it's evil, and it was so well written. It actually scared me quite a lot, not going to lie. If you want a really good fantasy novel, like a standalone and not a whole series to commit to, I would definitely recommend this story, because I think it's one of my most favorite books, fantasy books ever, and it's a standalone. I love it. The last book I want to recommend to you is Girl of Fire and Thorns, which is the first book in the Fire and Thorns trilogy by Ray Carson. I especially want to recommend this series to you based on the second book, The Crown of Embers. I haven't read the final installment in this series yet, but the second book definitely made this whole series already for me. I liked the first book. I think I rated it 3 stars, but it wasn't anything special to me. Like, people raved about it because the main character has different body weights than most female main characters in fantasy stories. She has a bit more weight, but I didn't think it was really used well in the story because she loses that weight quite quickly throughout the story because she has to travel throughout the desert. And I didn't think that was executed well, but the second book totally made up for it. I loved it. I really, really loved the second book in this series. This story is about a girl, Elisa, who gets married off to this king she doesn't know. She has a godstone in the navel, which is kind of prophesied, I guess. She is supposed to be special, and she is supposed to have these magical abilities that haven't showed up yet. She eventually joins a rebellion in the first book, and that is basically what the whole first book is about. She is in this rebellion. She's leading these people. She is trying to get these people through a war. It's really cool. Like, I love Elisa. I love the development she went through. Like, you can see how much she grows throughout the first book already, and especially the second book. Also, what happened in the first book, like, a really tragic thing happened, and I didn't see it coming. I didn't care for this person as much that this tragic event happened to, but it definitely shocked me because I didn't expect Ray Carson to go down this path, but I totally love what she did with it. So my top 5 Wednesday, let me know down below what are some of your favorite science fiction and fantasy novels. I would love some recommendations. Thank you for watching. Goodbye!